Hello, year ones! How are you doing? Hope you're keeping well. Welcome to another Problem of the Week! Now, before we begin with the lesson, just to say, I know lots of you liked seeing Lucas the Bear in the video last week, and I was really hoping he'd be in this one again today, but I haven't been able to find him anywhere. Just no idea where he's got to, so I'm really sorry about that. Searching high and low, there's no sign of him anywhere. I hope he's okay. I wonder where he is. Anyway, let's get started with Lucas! You gave me such a fright. Don't do that. You did that on purpose, didn't you? Cheeky. Lucas. Anyway, now that you're here, let's start the lesson, shall we? Okay, well, you remember that last week we looked at identifying equal and unequal groups. Well, this week we're going to start adding those equal groups in order to find the whole. Shall we get started with that? Yeah? Good. Okay, Lucas says we'll start, so let's go. So quickly recapping on last week's learning, we were looking at equal and unequal groups. In this case, we saw that those pencils are in unequal groups. There's not the same number on each plate, so there's not the same number of pencils in each group. And we saw here that these butterflies are in equal groups because there's the same number of butterflies in each group. There's 4 groups, 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of butterflies, and there's 3 in each group. So then we looked at this language here, describing those equal groups. Here we could say there are 2 groups of 5 pencils. Because look, there's 2 groups of pencils, 1 group of pencils, 2 groups of pencils, and there's 5 pencils in each group. In this lesson, we're going to be adding up those equal groups in order to find the whole, the total, everything that we have. And what's going to really help us with that is a bit of practice of counting in different amounts. We're going to practice counting in 2s, in 10s, and in 5s. Now, I know you've done lots of this in school, so I expect you to do this really, really well. First of all, we're going to count in 2s. In a moment, I'm going to show you the 2s numbers in this hundreds grid. Before I do, can you predict, can you imagine in your head where those 2s numbers are? There they are. Is that what you imagined? And a great activity to do with any times table is to highlight the numbers in that times table in a hundreds grid. Here we've got the 2s or the 2 times tables, and then to start looking for and describing all the different patterns that you see. It's a great way of helping you learn and remember and understand these numbers. So here you might see that the 2s numbers go in these stripes, these vertical stripes. And maybe you notice that it's every other stripe. We skip a stripe, don't we? And why is that? What numbers are we skipping? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. They're the odd numbers, aren't they? So we skip the odd numbers and we say the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. They're the even numbers. And there are patterns to see in the 1s digits and in the 10s digits. And you might discuss those and look for other patterns in your own time. We are going to count in 2s just up to 20, because that's 10 lots of 2. If you want an extra challenge, you could count with your eyes closed. Okay, you ready? Count with me. 3, 2, 1. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. We're going to stop there, and now we're going to count back from 20 in 2s. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Well done. Did you find that counting back was a bit trickier than counting forward? Now, when we were counting forward, what were we doing there? Well, we were really adding 2, weren't we? We were adding 2 each time. Counting forward 2 and adding 2 at the same thing. So 2 plus 2 is 4. And 4 plus 2 is 6, and so on. So counting in twos and adding 2, the same thing. Next, we're going to count in tens. I've got a blank 100 grid. Can you imagine where those tens numbers are? What numbers we'll say when we're counting in tens? Well, they are here. Is that what you imagined? Okay, so count with me. Counting in tens, starting from 10. 3, 2, 1. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Now we're going to count back from 100 in tens. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Well done. Now, when we were counting forward, what were we doing there? We were counting forward in 10, and that's exactly the same as adding 10, isn't it? We added 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. 20 plus 10 is 30, and so on. So counting in tens and adding 10, it's the same thing. I hope you see that and make that connection. It's very, very important. Next, we're going to count in fives. I've got the blank grid again. Where are those 5 numbers? Which numbers will we be saying when we're counting in fives? Can you predict? Can you see in your head? There they are. Is that what you imagined? Now we're going to count in fives up to 50. Up to 50, which is halfway to 100. And that's because it's 10 groups of 5. 10 groups of 5 makes 50. Okay, are you ready? Starting from 5, we're going to count in fives. 3, 2, 1. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And we'll stop there. Now we're going to count back from 50 in fives. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, and 5. Very well done. Did you find counting back a bit trickier than counting forward? It is a bit trickier. So make sure you keep practicing that at home until it becomes much easier for you. And again, what were you doing there? Yes, we were counting in fives. We were counting forward in fives. And that's exactly the same as adding 5. Exactly the same. Counting forward by a certain amount and adding that amount, they're the same thing. So 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. And 10 plus 5 is equal to 15. And 15 plus 5 is equal to 20. Very well done. Now we're going to do some adding of equal groups. Now, what things can you think of, maybe things that you have around the house, that come in pairs, that come in groups of 2? Can you think of anything? Well, I've thought of something. I've thought of shoes. Shoes come in pairs, don't they? They come in groups of 2. So we're going to find out, first of all, how many pairs of shoes we have here. And then we're going to try to find out how many shoes we have altogether. Now, maybe you can see, just by the way the shoes are organized, how many pairs there are altogether. Maybe you can see without counting. But we will count to check our answer. Now, when we're counting, it's easy to miss something or count something twice. So I'm going to cross out each pair when we count it. So we're going to count the pairs. How many pairs of shoes do we have? Or how many groups of 2 shoes do we have? Okay, you ready? 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, 4 pairs, 5 pairs, 6 pairs. So what do we write here? There are pairs of shoes. Yes, you're right. We're going to say there are 6 pairs of shoes. Now, a pair is a group of 2. So how many groups of 2 shoes do we have? Well, it's the same, isn't it? It's 6 groups of 2 shoes. We could count again. We could say 1 group of 2 shoes, 2 groups of 2 shoes, 3 groups of 2 shoes, 4 groups of 2 shoes, 5 groups of 2 shoes, 6 groups of 2 shoes. There are 6 groups of 2 shoes. 6 pairs of shoes. Now, the next thing we need to do is find out how many shoes we have all together. How would you think about that? How would you do that? Well, let's think about it. We know we have 6 pairs of shoes, or 6 groups of 2 shoes. We've got 2 shoes and another 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 2 shoes. Isn't that right? Altogether, we've got 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 shoes. Does that make sense? Can you see that in the picture? How we've got 2 plus another 2 shoes plus another 2 shoes plus another 2 shoes plus another 2 shoes plus another 2 shoes. And together, that makes all of our shoes. Now, how are we going to work out that number sentence? Well, I've got some things to help you. I've got a 100 grid. And we can use that because we were just counting in twos, weren't we? And we saw that counting in twos and adding 2 is the same thing. So how would we do our calculation with the 100 grid? So we've got 6 groups of 2 altogether. 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3 groups of 2, 4 groups of 2, 5 groups of 2, 6 groups of 2. And the total is 12. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, it's equal to 12. Now I've also got a number line here, and I've added that, well, for 2 reasons. One, it's a great resource for helping you to add and subtract and multiply and do all kinds of other calculations. And you might have a number line at home because you might have a ruler or a measuring tape, and they are number lines. So if you have those, you can use those to help you with your addition today. How would we do our addition number sentence with a number line? Well, again, there are 6 groups of 2, aren't there? So we start off with no shoes. We got 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3 groups of 2, 4 groups of 2, 5 groups of 2, 6 groups of 2, and the total is 12. So 6 groups of 2 is equal to 12. Or we can think of it as 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is equal to 12. I hope that makes sense. So now we need to complete this sentence. Now there's 3 bits of information missing, so this might be a little confusing to begin with. And don't worry about that. Things are often a little bit confusing in maths to begin with, and you need to just take your time, think carefully, believe in yourself, and if you don't give up, then eventually it will begin to make sense. So this sentence is groups of is equal to So we know there are 6 groups of 2 shoes, and the sentence is groups of is equal to Now in the first gap, it's how many groups we have. How many groups are there? We know there are 6 groups. The second gap is how many are in each group. We've got 6 groups of 2. Isn't that right? And the last gap is, what does that make? What's the whole? What's the total? So we know that 6 groups of 2 is equal to 12. Excellent. Another example. Here, look at the picture. Can you see the hands? If you look at the hands, what do you think we're counting in this time? That's right, we're counting in 5s because there are 5 fingers on each hand. Unless you're Lucas here, of course, in which case you've got no fingers on your hands. Isn't that right? Oh, don't be sad, Lucas. Your hands are really good for counting in zeros. Yeah, they are really good for counting in zeros. Isn't that right? Can you count in zeros at home? Really tricky. It's the trickiest times table, I think, isn't it, Lucas? But shall we use your amazing fingerless hands to count in zeros? Should we count in zeros? Should we do it? 3, 2, 1. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And now we'll count, starting from 0, we'll count backwards in zeros until we get to 0. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Whew! That was tough, wasn't it? But thanks to your amazing hands, it made counting in zeros much easier, Lucas. Thank you. Anyway, where was I? So, can you complete the sentence? There are groups of fingers. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of, well, how many fingers are in each group? That's right, it's 5 fingers on one hand. So 5 fingers in each group. So let's put it all together. There are 4 groups of 5 fingers. So the next question is, well, how many fingers are there all together? How would you do that? How would you think about it? Well, we've got 4 groups of 5 fingers, haven't we? We've got 5 fingers plus another 5 fingers plus another 5 fingers plus another 5 fingers. Isn't that right? 4 groups of 5 fingers. 1 group of 5 fingers. 2 groups of 5 fingers. 3 groups of 5 fingers. 4 groups of 5 fingers. This 5 plus this 5 plus this 5 plus this 5 to find out how many fingers there are all together. How are you going to work that out? Shall we use the hundreds grid first? Shall we count in 5s? Which is the same as adding 5. So 1 group of 5, 2 groups of 5, 3 groups of 5, 4 groups of 5. So 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 is equal to 20. Well done. Should we check our answer with the number line? How are we going to do it this time? We're going forward in jumps of 5. We're adding on 5. Okay, so we have the first 5 fingers, second 5 fingers, the third 5 fingers, and the fourth group of 5 fingers. And the total is 20. So again, 4 groups of 5 fingers is equal to 20 fingers altogether. Or 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 is equal to 20. So can we complete this final sentence? Can you do it by yourself before I tell you? So we know there are 4 groups of 5 fingers. Groups of is equal to Have a pause and have a think. What goes in each gap? It's 4 groups of 5 is equal to 20. Very, very well done. Now, there is a quicker way of saying 4 groups of 5. It means the same thing, but it's a bit quicker. And we can just say 4 5s. 4 5s is equal to 20. I hope that all makes sense. It's over to you now for some problems for you to do again in your own time. And I've put a hundreds grid here in case it's helpful. So in the first one, how many wheels altogether? And you're given the addition number sentence, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Next one, how many fingers altogether? 5 plus 5 plus 5. In the second question, how many apples are there? Complete all of those sentences. And there's a number line there to help you. Finally, number 3, how many fish are there? Complete the sentences and the number line. Next, some problems to get you thinking a little bit more deeply. In number 1, Tanya and Susie are making equal groups of bread. They both make a statement. Who do you agree with? Explain why. Nice, clear mathematical sentences for your explanations. Number 2, Gavin is counting bananas. Can you spot his mistake there? Look and think carefully. Think about all our learning today. And number 3, it's a little bit of a puzzle. That might take a little bit more thought. It does say at the very end, use equipment to help you. Now, you may or may not have equipment you can use, but there might be things like Lego pieces, for instance, that might be helpful. If not, You might be able to draw some pictures to help you work it out. I'm going to give you the answers to all of those in just a moment, so pause here if you still need to go through them all by yourself. Here we go. Number 1, how many wheels altogether? It's 10 wheels altogether. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is equal to 10. How many fingers? 15 fingers altogether, because 5 plus 5 plus 5 is equal to 15. Number 2, how many apples are there? 20 apples, because 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 is equal to 20. And that sentence, there are 4 groups of 5 apples, which is equivalent to 20. Equivalent, slightly tricky word, but it does mean equals. And number 3, how many fish are there? 30. 10 plus 10 plus 10 is equal to 30. There are 30 fish. Now, those problems, how did you get on with those problems? Well, I hope. There are the answers for you to go through. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the lesson and I hope you got on well with those problems. I'll see you next week for another Problem of the Week. In the meantime, take care and we'll see you soon. Bye. Bye-bye.